So I started by talking about the multicellular microbes, which are still too small to see, but are still categorized as microbes. And then we kind of went down exploring like the large single-celled organisms that are called eukaryotes. Then we moved on to prokaryotes, where we discussed archaea and bacteria, which are a lot smaller in comparison. Now we're going to talk about a unique category known as the acellular microbes. This has several defining characteristics because number one, they are pretty much all pathogens, meaning that no matter what, they make their organism sick, or they like take things from it, and like there's like no benefit to having them. Furthermore, another unique thing about this is that it's debatable whether they're even alive, so to speak. This is because they literally have to be inside an organism for them to function. And if you take them out, put them anywhere in the environment, they don't do anything. So there's a huge debate whether it even categorized as life forms. But pathogens, that definition is a lot less debatable. So this is pretty much broken down into three different categories. First one is viruses and phage. So viruses you've probably heard of before. This includes the cold, the flu, there's some STDs including HIV, which causes AIDS, as well as herpes. These are all viruses. Chickenpox, another example. So viruses typically contain their genetic information, which is held in either DNA, which is what we also have in ours, or a different kind of genetic marker known as RNA. So they store the genetic information inside these little capsules called capsids, which are made of different proteins, or this protein is kind of like a bunch of amino acids that are glued together that helps give it a shape. And this helps to contain and like store all of its genetic information. So this is viruses. And they come in like a few different shapes and sizes, and there's actually a lot of different kinds. One unique kind of virus is that known as a phage. A phage is a virus which infects bacteria. But there actually are viruses and phage which pretty much infect about anything. Everything from animals to plants, all the way down to bacteria with phage. Next we have a very unique category known as viroids. Viroids are literally just RNA molecules, but they're infectious. The only known viroids right now infect plants. Because of the fact that they have like nothing attached to them, they're just nothing but naked genetic information, they can only get into a plant if the plant is wounded. So like you get a cut on your skin, so bacteria can get in. Same thing with viroids. They wait for like a cut on the plant, they get in. And that's like literally the only way they can even function. Because it's literally just genetic information, that's it. The last category is probably one of the scariest. It's called prions. Prions are known as infectious proteins. So I've kind of used this term here and there, but a protein is basically composed of a bunch of amino acids that come together, and they build various parts of our cell, and because of this, we're able to function. So think about like the machines of the cell. Wow. Say that all of these machines, like they have a normal state, but a prion is kind of one that is defective. So it's like a defective evil machine. Like think about an evil robot or something. So this evil robot can basically go up and like all of the ones that are similar to it, and it can start corrupting them. So it's like corrupting all of the good robots and turning them into evil ones. So the whole bunch of evil machines running around the cell. Then all this collection of evil machines, they begin to group together. They start to like form clumps, and then pretty soon, like, the cell becomes full of all these clumps and everything that can't even function. So it, like, kills itself. So you might ask why this is important. Well, you might have heard of a couple of them. One, probably not. It's called Kuru. It's a weird or unusual endogenous people used to engage in cannibalism, and because they ate the brains, yeah, it's disgusting, I know, but because they ate the brains of other humans, they were able to get this infectious protein, which, interestingly enough, prions cannot be destroyed by anything except literally burning them. But probably the more well-known prion-related disease is mad cow. Remember how the cows like go mad and go crazy and weird, and then people eat them and they like develop the same disease? These are all prions. So these are these evil infectious proteins. And there actually is some suggestion and evidence that Alzheimer's and certain brain and neurological diseases may actually be caused by prions, because of the fact that these diseases also involve a bunch of these evil proteins or these evil robots running around. But it's still a little bit ambiguous, but it is suggested that it may actually be a prion disease. So this kind of sums up the different kinds of microorganisms that make up microbiology. Okay, so I wanted to finish off this episode with telling you more about an area of microbiology that I find especially interesting and important. This is about pathogenesis and immunology. So let me begin by literally telling you the definition of what a pathogen is. A pathogen or infectious agent is a biological agent that causes disease or illness to its host. So note that it says infectious agent. This is why pathogens can be considered both protein, like those evil robots, like genetic information, like RNA, as well as viruses that are weird, as well as the actual living ones, like which can range from large to small. So this is what defines a pathogen. Immunology specifically describes the mammalian way of actually fighting against these pathogens. And it's a branch of immunology that discusses how our body responds to an infectious agent or pathogen and what it does and how it's ultimately treated. What is interesting to note is that the immune system not only responds to pathogens, but it responds to anything that is foreign in general. So this includes any kind of transplant, thus why organs can be rejected. It also can respond to cancer cells to a certain degree, and it can respond to things that's not even supposed to. That's why we have allergies. So to go into more detail on immunology, immunology is the study of the immune system. So it's our white blood cells, the things that fight off infectious agents, pathogens, cancer cells. They fight off weird things not supposed to, like allergies. That is immunology in a nutshell. So it's largely broken down into two major categories. There's innate immunology, or the innate immune system. So these are your white blood cells that, when you get sick, like, they're the ones which show up, like, right away. It's like you get a cut and, like, bacteria start invading. It's like a bunch of white blood cells rush and try to kill anything that gets in. The adaptive immune system does not kick in right away, and because of the fact that it's a lot stronger, but it's also a lot more specific, so it only kills certain kinds of things. This can include pathogens, like, or cancer cells, as well as even your allergies. These are all a result of adaptive immunity. which I will be going over in a further lecture as well. But as I said, it's actually probably one of the more important branches, and we actually have found a way to actually take advantage of it, in which we have developed vaccines and vaccination, which I will discuss in my next video. Long story short, I'm going to repeat from my previous video, vaccines don't cause autism, they save lives. And in my next video, I will go into detail, so stay tuned. So for now, Microman signing out.